That's a good tune. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to show number 3 here, Northeast Happy Hour with Predmore and Mearns. I think that's what we're calling it. Man, we've got one heck of a show. We've got a lot of guys here tonight. It is a full Fender frenzy. Of course, we have, he's got on there No Right Turns, the self-proclaimed king. I think we have a bromance going on. This guy is a character, Mr. Nate Hill. Kenny Hyde, I think he called in, so we got Kenny Hyde. I think Kenny's down in the Long Island area, did some racing up at Bethel, got himself a fast hot rod. Sitting right next to me, the man, the myth, the legend, he's my cuz. This is LOD, Larry O'Donnell, 2019 Pro Stock champion.
NASCAR Pro Stock.
Excuse me. And then, of course, third generation driver. And I'll tell you, an up-and-coming driver, and this kid is really somebody that we all started to watch last year. And, of course, that's Anthony Tarantino. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here, and let's get right to it, man. Let's start talking some racing, full fender stuff. Nate, so you are the king of YouTubes and selfies and all this other stuff. How did that come about? How did your racing career come about? Let's talk about that.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. I never grew up racing. I didn't race until I was about 30 years old. My stepfather, my crew chief, car owner, Ziggy, he used to race back at Nazareth, the dirt half mile. So I heard him talk about it. But anyway, we started helping some guys down at Big Diamond, and we were doing a lot of work on the car, and I decided I was going to buy my own car and give it a go. We started at Penn Can Speedway. I was 30 years old when I did my first race.
So how long have you been racing now?
I did almost 10 years. 2011 was at the very end of 2011 I did one race. So 2012 was my first real season racing. So coming up on 10 years. So short 10 years, you've been pretty successful as of late. I mean, you've won the King of the Can at Penn Can Speedway at least 3 times? I won once and then retained by forfeit the next year.
Okay. And then just recently,
2019,
kind of like
have it, so I retained.
Okay, so kind of like our Street Stock Shootout series, which we're I think. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we glitched a little bit. We're going to discuss that here in a little bit. The end of the season, 5 Mile Point had a small series, and you also won that too.
Yes, that is correct. I won. They had a factory stock and a factory stock light race. I qualified for the lights, which was basically Woodhull rules. You would have qualified. I would have liked to see some of you guys there, but you're racing Bethel. Anyway, I wound up winning 3 out of 4 and became the first ever 5 Mile Point factory stock light champion fall series, and the youngest and the oldest and the most recent.
Okay, nice. So also joining the show here too, of course, you did see his name down there on the bottom, Mr. Travis Brockner. Travis, I see you're in the garage already, man.
Yeah, what's going on,
man? So Travis is also another full fender guy. I believe he was I'm going to say a 1.5-time track champion at the Accord Speedway in the street stock division. Of course, I own that car now. I'm just going to throw that out there. I have that car. Travis, man, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in. We just got started. Another one, Nate starts racing about 10 years ago, had a lot of success. How did you get involved in racing, and tell us a little bit about that?
My one cousin used to race out of Bethel. My brother, he kind of got into it. We used to go out there as a family, kind of once a summer or so. It was always cool. Never really too into it or nothing. But my brother got into it, bought a car, made a lot of work, whatever, did all that. He got racing. I was just graduating high school at the time, in college. He started racing. He was kind of doing his own thing. He really didn't care about it too much. And, he was struggling, obviously, no different than anybody when they start. I kind of got into it a little bit, didn't know nothing about it. Kevin Skelly helped my brother out a little bit, actually quite a bit when he first started. And then, I don't know, somehow I just kind of got roped in to help him out and ended up going with him to the races and stuff. And I don't know, it's, I'm no expert or nothing, but I just seemed like I understood how stuff worked, I guess you would say. I don't know, and got going with him on it. And slowly got better with him and so forth. And then.
So now you're involved with the Southern Tier Street Stocks, which to me is almost looks like a Mongoloid elite model. I mean, these things these cars are awesome. They really are.
Yeah, it's a lot different than what I knew as a street stock racing and everything down in Ackford and Bethel and all that stuff. And when my brother he started racing on the 5 Mile Point and 10-can and stuff like that, I always was like, man, these things are sweet. They're sweet. They're awesome. And everything at Ackford when I just kind of needed something different, we'll say. I was like, I like the street stocks. I like the fenders. Open wheel cars don't interest me. And I'm not into spending $1 million, so I was kind of like, let me give this a shot. So I took my old car, tried doing it. Didn't work out very well for whatever, but I ended up getting this. And, I mean, it's for the most part, I've had a blast with it. It's been fun.
Nice. Yeah. So Travis, another local racer, has had a lot of success here at some of the local tracks, now running the Southern Tier Street Stocks. Let's go to third-generation driver, Mr. Anthony Tarantino. Now, anybody who's been around street stock racing here in the Northeast, Ackford, Bethel, Lebanon Valley, Orange County, we all know your dad. We know your granddad. You started coming on the scene a few years ago in the 4-cylinders, and you started doing well, and now you find yourself driving for Gary Ronk, who's no slouch behind the wheel. So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Came about, I was dating his daughter, and one day he saw me racing the 4-cylinders and said, hey, you want to try driving my street stock? So he went down and purchased one of his old street stocks and gave me the opportunity to drive it at Ackford, and he was pretty impressed the way I drove it the first time and said, hey, you want to continue driving for me? And this is where it all started. And,
so you guys actually been bouncing around a little bit, which, I'm a little jealous. You guys went to Glen Ridge.
We went to Glen Ridge,
Bethel,
went to Albany, Saratoga.
Yeah.
We traveled up to Glen Ridge, Albany, Saratoga. Nice. We wanted to travel down to Penn Can, but we never had the time in our schedule.
Right. Definitely a place you want to go, and I'll tell you need to be on your game there at that place. So, Sitting right here next to me, of course, LOD Larry O'Donnell. We're just running BMS Modified this year. You are going back to the pro stocks. So we all know your brother Gary, absolute legend around here. 175 feature wins in the street stock ranks. I believe 2 track championships at the Bethel Motor Speedway. Yep. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got involved in racing.
I was basically I was the wrench man for many years with him, and in 2009 was my first full season of racing. 4-cylinders, started out. I won the championship. 2010, got a street stock, a worn out, something that was just basically sat in the woods for God knows how many years from a 6-cylinder car. Built it a street stock and then just moved up from there and been pro stock. But I've been in every class at Bethel except the bando because I just don't fit.
I know that feeling.
But sportsman. What are you? 7 foot something or whatever?
6'8".
Oh, 6'8". So that means when I drove your car, I needed an extra 1.5 feet behind me so I could reach the clutch pedal.
Yeah, right? We stuffed some mud plugs in there. Yeah.
Mud plugs, jackets, everything.
Yep, we made it work.
And I still couldn't reach the clutch.
Well, I think the problem with that was I think a couple of times you wound up going around. I was like, oh, look, there goes Larry. He's spinning again. His foot kept slipping off the throttle. And when it did, it would jerk the car and it would spin him around. So it was pretty comical.
But you know what? I've driven a lot of different cars. That was the most different car I drove before ever. But like I say, I've been in it for a long time and I enjoy it. And technically this year, thanks to John Lombardo at Ultimate Power, Tony Gearhead at TJ Motorsports. I'm probably going to be pulling double duty, driving Bethel Modified and also Pro Stock. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So on the phone joining us, probably one of the guys that we're down in the
Riverhead, Long Island.
Riverhead, Long Island. Started running up Bethel Motor Speedway last year and was very successful. Kenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about your racing background, how you got started, and we'll go from there.
Pretty much, grandfather started racing down on Long Island back in the 60s. My old man, he followed in his footsteps. But he, instead of running on oval, he went to racing. And that's all I've ever known my whole life is racing. And started racing go-karts when I was around 8 years old. Started running figure eight at 16, and then this year we made the trip up to Bethel weekly.
Nice, yeah, been very successful up there. So Nate Hill, a question for you is the promo videos that you're doing. What started that? And you've got a couple, man, that have a ton of views, as my kids say, and I guess that's a good thing. How did that come about? Because I think they're awesome, they're comical, and it just it makes you who you are. It puts the personality behind the wheel.
Okay, I'll tell you the exact story. Number one, though, for anyone listening, please go to Ziggy Racing Facebook page and give that a nice like. We're trying to hit 1,000 page likes tonight. I think we're going to do it. Head over to Ziggy Racing. That's the main racing page for our team. That's where you'll see all the promos, everything first. But Joel, to answer your question, I was racing at Penn Can a couple years ago. It's the 2019 season, and there was a big race, a bigger race for that day, 25 laps, extra money to win. And Penn Can Speedway on their Facebook page asked their fans who they would think would win. And the fans were all saying the same two names, the two favorites, which were Dusty Decker and Tommy Gruber, who wound up winning. The two of them wound up winning every single race. There was the only two winners that year. So, they were definitely good choices, but this came just a couple months after I won King of the Can. So, and no one was picking me, and I was getting a little upset, So I was saying something to my wife, like, no one's picking me. Not even one person is picking me to win. And she says, well, you know what? You should do a promo insulting these guys. And I thought about it. I'm like, well, I really like these guys. They've helped me out a lot. I don't want to, because up at Penn Can, everyone's really a good group of guys in the end. But so I didn't really want to insult anyone, but I figured, I'll have some fun with it. So I'm thinking I'll do, and I'm a pro wrestling fan, so I'm thinking like a pro wrestling style promo, but I don't have any kind of, equipment or, production or anything. So I'm thinking about some of the pro wrestling promos I saw, and I remember one from Chris Jericho. He did one on his cell phone, gritty and, to the point, right outside. And I said, well, I can do something like that. So I did. It took a few good takes to get a good one, but I cut my first promo. I posted it, and that's when it really took off.
Yeah, they are. If anybody hasn't seen that, you can go to YouTube. What's the YouTube site also?
Hill
it's
11.
Ziggy Racing, right?
No, it's Hill 11.
Okay.
HILL11 is the YouTube
Some
site.
of these are extremely comical. I know when I went to Penn Can, when I went to Penn Can and first met Nate, I thought for sure that he was probably a big drinker, but he's really, I don't think he is. But he's a little off. That's why I like him. I think he's a good dude.
Don't drink it all. But yeah, the promo really
See, there you go. That makes it better.
But yeah, the promos really took off, and I tried to do one a week for the whole year, and then this season I started the YouTube channel of Being the King, which I am no longer the king, as you know. But once a king, always a king. I see it like you get an ex-president out. Let's say Bill Clinton, you still call him President Clinton, right? Even though he's not president. So I'm still King Nate. I still hold the title. Once a king, always a king.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Joel, and
all right, so go ahead.
Okay, yeah. The thing is though, when I won the King of the Can, we always talk about King of the Can, but the other thing is at the same time I had also won the Towner Motorsports Triple Crown Throwdown Series. And that's where you're coming. That's where you're asking about how many times I won. No, that's what it was. I won the King of the Can and the Towner Motorsports Series, which, by the way, I'm the only guy in the history of dirt track racing to win the King of the Can and the Towner Motorsports Triple Crown Throwdown. But that's beside the point. But when you add it up, that's 4 different crowns. So you take Mike Morse, for instance, now, and I don't want to take anything away from Mike Morse. He's great. He had a phenomenal season. No one's had a season that good that I know of ever. And he's the new King of the Can. But he's got 1 crown. I've got 4. That's something to think about.
All right, so let's talk about and Kenny, man, feel free to pipe in whenever you want there, and we'll try and we'll get in. Big news: Bridgeport Speedway. They're putting up $10,000 to win. Now, if you take a look at their rules, it's pretty close to Penn Can 5 Mile Point rules. Crate motors are allowed 4 barrels, all that other stuff. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that, because every track that we all race at, everybody's car is a little bit different. Larry's running a pro stock here, allowed jacker bolts. Travis has got probably one of the best. He has a typical. It's a race car. That thing is built for racing. That's jig built, Travis?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, how do we feel about if we could get all the tracks together with the same rules? What is it that you guys would want to look for? Nate, let's start with you.
Well, here's the thing with me. I would, this is my life basically. I devoted to the rules packages and everything. I would.
Listen, I'm going to hit the beehive right now. I'm just going to go ahead and swarm the bees.
Look, as in my honest opinion, there is no perfect rules. I mean, that's really how it is. I mean, some of the and they're either too tight or too loose. And I figured what I was going for after the season, we had a driver's meeting. I wanted to see something like Woodhull, because they kind of have something that I feel is like a compromise for our class. They allow some, like, for instance, like an aftermarket replacement firewall. You could fabricate your own, but it has to be in the stock position, that kind of thing. And a lot of guys don't have the factory one, and I thought Woodhull rules was a good compromise. It didn't really go that way. It was getting pretty out of hand. As far as getting the all the tracks on the same page go, I 100% agree. I'd like to see every track go to like IMCA or some other kind of large sanctioning body. Now, I know as far as the Southern tier tracks go, Nick Stark and his Grit series, they worked something out with all the tracks, and they all went to what they call a Grit series rules in the factory stock. It's still a little more open than I really like, but I do believe it's a step in the right direction. But regardless, there's, I believe, 4 tracks that are on those rules. So Penn Can, 5 Mile, Skyline, and Afton. And I'm sorry if I'm forgetting any, but I think that's the 4. So as far as those 4 tracks go, they got a common set of rules. But I completely agree. Those rules are way more open, though, than like Big Diamond, Sealands Grove, or where you guys run at Orange County, Ackford, or Bethel.
See, we created the Street Stock Shootout series to try and bring the 3 tracks together. The problem is Accord will allow you a cockpit-style firewall, so will Bethel. Orange County won't. But 3 tracks within an hour of each other, and they all run a different set of tires. But yet Middletown, your water pump and crank pulley have to be steel, and everything else could be aluminum, whereas Bethel, they don't. These are stupid rules, I think. And I think if we can get all on the same page and put everybody in the same rules, you're going to get guys who run Friday night to come down and run Saturday. I mean, Travis, you've run all 3 of these. What are your thoughts? I mean, you went the total opposite. You went, okay, yep, I want everything. And that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at now is you can't compare it to, Ackford and Bethel and Middletown, that kind of stuff. But, going back to, when I ran Ackford and that kind of stuff, and, I ran my brother's car at Bethel and Middletown, that was always, it was just, I never really understood that, Ackford rules and Bethel rules, they were always pretty similar other than tires, which a lot of guys complain about the tires, but in my opinion, you needed that. The DOTs on the asphalt, to me, you can make them work, but it seemed like the racing wasn't as good in my opinion. And then Accord, I mean, I loved running the race tires down there, and but like Accord and Bethel, they were close on the rules for the most part. But then, for instance, Orange County was like you're saying, the pulleys and this and that, just little stuff like the firewall deal. I mean, I know Nate, he's big in the stock firewall, which I understand his reasoning, but there's reasons not to have it too, So I mean, I get both sides of it, but like for instance, the crank pulley and stuff like that. Like I don't understand. I never really got that because it seems like it was just, if you had the steel stuff, you were good. But if you had the aluminum stuff, like I had the aluminum stuff after, and it just to go around Middletown, it just seemed ridiculous to have to change them. And then, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't. Nate might know better. Some of you other guys might know better. But the steel ones always seemed a little bit harder to find than the aluminum ones. And this and that. And I know, like for instance, the aluminum
Steel
ones are a
ones
little
break.
deeper, so they hold the V belts better, and they don't throw the belts as easy and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just there's a couple little things, specifically Orange County, Bethel, and Accord could do to make it pretty close. And going to the Southern Tier street stocks, that was the big thing. I mean, they're all kind of far from me, but within each other, they're probably within an hour and a half to 2 hours. There's probably 5 or 6 tracks I could go run at with really no changes. Like this thing, for instance, I kind of have at the lower end of some of the rules. There's tracks that I could go race at that I could run a bigger motor or different stuff here and there. But like as this thing sits right now, I could go run it 5 or 6 tracks right now. So they're a little more the same page, I guess you'd say, on rules than like the factory stocks. They're one place they're factory stocks, one place they're not very far from a street stock, but they're on DOTs, So it's the factory stocks, whether Southern Tier or wherever you want to call them, they're all over the place. My eye. But.
Yeah. See, I have to agree with Nate as far as you got to allow us to fix these cars. I mean, they're guys were talking about this 20 years ago. The cars are getting harder to find. They're rotting out. But even now with the Monte Carlos, the coil cars, the firewalls are rotting. So allow us to fix them. So, but if you want to, maintain that, allow us to put an aftermarket firewall in, but it has to be in stock location. I agree with that 100%. Anthony, you're getting guys now like Anthony, myself, Travis, you, Nate, where we're able to move around, not like we were, 20 years ago when it was a little bit tougher. Now we're able to kind of travel a little bit. We're talking about Bridgeport. Now, I've been 5 Mile Point, Penn, I've run Syracuse, where the heck else have we been? Albany, Saratoga, Evergreen. We're allowed to move around. Anthony, even your thoughts, even last year, you guys got to bounce around quite a bit. What were some of the different rules that you saw that you liked and some of the rules that you didn't like?
Some of the rules I liked, especially when we went up to Albany, Saratoga, Glen Ridge, I know Lebanon Valley, they all have the same rule package. Running the DOT tires. They're allowed the crate motors with the 4412s. They do allow headers. You can also run your stock manifolds. But I know, and I believe Devil's Bowl are all in the same rule package. And like you were just saying, these guys are able to bounce around, and that's what I like.
Yeah. So Kenny, I mean, you're leaving the Riverhead area. You're driving almost 3 hours up to Bethel Motor Speedway every week. I mean, why were you doing that? Was it because of the rules, or you were just looking for something different? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, our tech inspector down here on the island, he gave us a hard time on a motor package that we put together from my crew chief, who was with a different driver in years prior. And we were just looking for a place to race, and Bethel welcomed us with open arms.
So even down on the island, which is, it's really not that far. It's not like, we're driving 12 hours to get somewhere. I think it's frustrating for us full fender guys it's $500 for you to go and race at a different track. Am I wrong?
Roughly, it usually costs about $500 a round trip for us to make the trip up there between the gas and tolls and everything. And that's the worst part about Riverhead is they manipulated the rules to where it's hard to travel like you're making all these points on.
So I'm thinking that that's probably the key factor right there. They're going to make the rules to help their track and to keep the guys that they have, so that this way, you know, if you're running a 4.9 inch and you don't have a Chevy 7.5 inch, that you can't really go anywhere else because nobody else around here is running a 4.9 inch. You know what I'm saying? So I think the tracks need to be a little more open up. Like this year, yeah, I think this year, you know, we volleyed for the 4.9 inch at Bethel Motor Speedway in the street stocks, and we won. We made a good point.
Yeah.
4412 needs to be next.
Listen, I'm all for 4412, 4.9 inch. Leave the stock manifolds. Got to have, you know, a factory stock wall, or at least you know, a factory location. I'm all for that.
It's just that Rochester's so hard to find, to get parts, or even, you know, to get them. It's hard.
Listen, I'm going to butt in here. You guys know I'm a big factory stock guy, and I'd go with the Holly 4412 too. I mean, that's it's just easier to work and tune and maintain and get.
Yeah.
And
My thing
Right,
about-
Travis.
Sorry. I've always hated them Rochesters. I haven't never had one that worked right, but you know, they're hard to find, and then to get one that works. I have 5 in the cabinet over there, and I only got one that's worth a shit.
Yep.
But I always said, why don't they let us run the Hollies, and even if they want us to run a small one, let us run the little 350s, because not only do they work, you know, and everything like that, but the biggest thing is the parts trailer at the races, or the guy parked next to you with the modified, or this or that. He's got some gaskets or some parts or whatever that you could borrow if you have some kind of issue. Who else has got a Rochester there, you know, other than a street stock guy? But you know, it's running a Holly. You're a lot more open to get parts and stuff like that at the racetrack when you know it's not going to end your night.
Yeah, I can tell you, and Larry, you can vouch for me on this one.
Yep.
The last race at Bethel Motor Speedway, I ran a 4412 the entire night. I ran it the entire night. I think I was 3rd in the street stocks, 4th in the pro stocks, and I think I was 4th in the enduro. It didn't make that much of a difference. The guys who were winning on the small carburetor were still winning.
Yep. And that was, I mean, I've been disqualified down at Accord for running a 500 CFM Rochester. And when I first started racing, because I bought that right from Speedway Motors, I think. So I didn't know, actually, to be quite honest. And then I had learned that I needed a 350, and I knew I had a 500, but whatever. So anyway, ended up like 2nd, I think, got disqualified. And then, you know, took a couple weeks off getting a 350 carburetor up and going and everything. I came back the next week, didn't change anything else on the car. And I mean, I was just as fast with the 350. It wasn't any slower. It wasn't really faster, but it wasn't slower.
I've only been able to find 2 people that were able to make these Rochesters work, and one obviously is you know, I'm going to give him a plug, and that's Tony Gearhead. You know, and Tony is very good with, I don't know how he does it, but he gets them to work to what it is that you have. And then the other one is a buddy of mine, Doug Ross. He knows a guy out in PA. Nate, you probably, I don't know if you know him, but I don't actually. He won't even tell me the guy's name. But there's a guy out in PA. It's $250, and he asks what you have in the motor, and he builds the carburetor to the motor. But it's just stupid. You know what I mean? You can go to ECS or Barrett's or wherever your local speed shop is and pick up a 4412 just like that. And you could do like what the Valley does, and you have to run a certain 4412 that, you know, this part number, you got to run that. So that this way, you know, if there's anything that's done to them, you know, they're going to pull them apart and go, listen, no, it doesn't look like what we have here. I think it's very easy to police.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I know my only career DQ came from running a 4-barrel Holly at 5 Mile Point.
Cheater.
Yeah.
So
I own it.
Here's a good story. I've never, ever been disqualified for anything. And one night, I'm not going to mention who the tech guy is, but it was in Middletown. I finished 3rd in the feature. He wanted to DQ me for my carburetor. And I explained to him that was the same carburetor that I had won with 2 weeks prior. He He argued with me, so I took the carburetor off. I brought it to the race director. I left it there. I filed an appeal. The appeal wound up getting overturned, and I wound up being correct. I wound up being right. So he brings the entire division through the tech area at Orange County and checks all the carburetors. And he's looking at my crew guy, and he's going, see, the tool goes right through, see? We didn't say nothing. I left the carburetor on that night. I went out. I won the feature. I came back in. He checks the carburetor. Now, mind you, I had brought one to him and went, hey, can you check this one? And he goes, yep, this is good. I left the carburetor on, and he told me it was no good. Won the feature. He goes and checks it and tells me it was good. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating for guys like us. Number one, we're not getting a whole lot of track time. Number two, we are the bastards at most racetracks. The only place that I've ever been treated like I was like everybody else, that was Bethel and even Accor too, you know?
No, listen, Penn Can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Penn Can, dude, we pulled in and that guy was absolutely
Gary Folk Sr., awesome guy.
Yeah.
Really nice guy.
But the biggest thing is, we want to play with our toys too, and when you have a racetrack and you get, a couple of laps for hot laps and then, a 15 lap feature, but that might get cut because the sportsman ran too long or this guy ran too long, you know what I mean? And that's frustrating to us. So I think guys are starting to move around a little bit. If you're not happy where you're racing, you're going somewhere else.
That's the thing too. Question: how do you rate the tech at the tracks? You know what I mean? Because that seems to be a hot topic too, especially like where you race, Nate or Travis. How's the teching down there?
Well, they've stepped it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
In our class, anyway, in the factory class.
Yeah, I've had them check, carburetor, distributor, tire compound. I had them pulling axles out, checking for hollow axles and stuff. They're not tearing motors apart, which I'm glad because I really don't want to tear this thing down because I don't want all the shit in it.
Yeah.
And this is the smallest motor I've ever had.
You sure about that?
This thing's a lot smaller than anything I've ever had.
Well, all I know is that's a phenomenal car, bro. We saw that thing before when you were putting it together. I'm kind of envious, man. I ain't never had nothing that nice under my ass ever.
Yeah, it's nice, and the sad thing is there's a lot nicer out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Anthony, even when you went up to Glen Ridge, Albany, Saratoga, I know when we went a few years ago, even Doug Ross was talking about it, one of my crew guys. They took your carburetor off, and they'd go into a shed, and they would tear it apart, and they would tell you to come back later and get it. And to me, that's awesome. I mean, I'm not saying Tom Dembeck said it best. If the race is close, I'm going to check just the minimum. Carburetor, distributor, pull a valve cover. If you're walking away from guys and you've won by half a track, I'm going to look. And I agree with that. What was it like up there at Glen Ridge? How was the teching up there?
Glen Ridge, the teching was pretty intense. Top 5 was over the scales. They pulled you into the compound. They pulled your carburetors off. You were just saying they were checking them out. They were calling underneath the cars, checking transmissions, rear ends. We actually had a confrontation because I didn't know you weren't allowed to run a 4-speed up there. Only allowed 3 speeds, and they wanted to try to DQ us for running our 4-speed. So they go pretty intense up there. Even at Albany, Saratoga, before we were even allowed to hit the track, they have us pull into. They got a nice little shed there. You pull in the tech on the scales. They weigh your car. They're underneath checking your rear ends. They're checking transmission, checking carburetors, distributors. The whole 9.
Yeah.
They even come down and make sure you're running all 4 of the same size tires.
Yeah. So Kenny, you were telling us out there on the island, you disagree with what's going on with the tech. Do you think there's a lot of favoritism going on out there, or is it just you were winning a lot? Like, explain to us why you're upset with them guys.
Well, the motor that I bought over last winter, the guy won 36 races in the course of 3 or 4 years. So there was already a red flag there, and I mean the motor that was in there was for 8 years, and maybe it was a favoritism thing on the previous driver of that motor, but for whatever reason, they just decided that they're going to change some rules, and I didn't feel it was fair. I don't know how you can let something slide for a handful of years, and then the item's going to change hands with a new owner, and then it's all of a sudden it's no good.
Yeah. So I can tell you, even watch you up there at Bethel Motor Speedway. I think you started off maybe on the wrong foot, just a little bit. My opinion, on the wrong foot, just a little bit. But a couple guys came in and had a chat, and I think by the end of the year, man, you were really earning the respect from a lot of guys up there. And it's. I think you learned that we don't need to push and shove, and there's a lot of give and take up there. Do you agree?
I do agree. Back here on the island, I mean, we do push and shove a lot, and that's my biggest issue up there is adjusting to racing a lot cleaner. I mean, I still try to run as clean as I can, but every once in a while I get a little over my head a little bit. And and even somebody like Larry and I have spoken a handful of times, and he's trying to guide me in the right direction. And I appreciate his advice and help that he offers. And even like the other competitor, Eddie Butler, we've had our share of conversation, and just want to continue to work on my end of running cleaner, not having too much pushing and shoving, and looking forward to a good season.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Me and Ed Butler in 2011 when I first started Pro Stock. Me and Eddie clashed heads for the first season. A little rubbing, a little rough. But you know what? I could actually say, as the years went on, me and Ed used to put on a 22 lap feature, door to door, switching inside, outside. Never touched each other ever. The whole lap, each lap. But unfortunately, yeah, like you said before, we all do get a little over our head, get a little overzealous or a little pushy. But that's short track racing. We all,
Travis, I can think of a story of somebody getting out of their car wanting to have words with you, because the same guy when I first started did the same thing to me. Anthony, I think you know him pretty well.
Yeah, I know.
We don't mention names,
He
do we?
definitely got a temper.
But I think that's what it is, man. I think the passion in the street stocks is amazing because, listen, we're taking stuff that's 30, 40 years old, and we're trying to make them do things that they're not supposed to do. And, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in these things, and I think sometimes, our emotions get the best of us. Listen, Larry can vouch for me. Andy, you can vouch for me. There's been a couple of nights, man, where I've had to have people surround the car because I'm ready to lose my mind over stuff. But it's not like losing your mind because it's the first time it happened and you're just being a jerk. It's the fact that it's happened continuously, and you've tried to talk to them, and now it's to the point where you think that they're just doing it on purpose. So you know what I mean? So you kind of, I think our tempers, get the best of us sometimes. But anyway, all right, guys, let's go right around the table here. Let's start with Kenny. Kenny, what do you got going on for 2021?
As of right now, we're planning on running the full season at Bethel, and just slowly putting the car back together. Gonna have a freshen up on the motor, clean the body up a little bit, and keep working on the setup to get a little faster.
Nice. LOD, what we got going on?
Definitely going back Pro Stock next year. I got to knock the leaves and dust off the old Pro Stock. The grass is still growing on the floor. But anyway.
He has a piece of wood underneath on the driver's side, is a piece of wood. And that's underneath like the clutch pedal. Do you have a clutch in that thing?
Yeah.
Okay. And the gas pedal and brake pedal. He had my daughter over there pulling the weeds out of it. I was like, what the hell is that? It's like a planter or something. Okay,
please labor laws on that, Larry.
No, it ain't. Not at Joel's house.
Nah, man, I got a lot of them little bastards.
But no, I decided last year, me and Bethel Modified was the last class that I needed to try. John Lombardo gave me a big opportunity there. Tony Gearhead, Tony worked his ass off on that car. John's been behind me for many years, which you know that.
Yeah.
I
good dude.
I'll tell you right now, I ain't gonna lie. The man took me under his wing, and listen, all my power plants have come from him, and outstanding. Never complained. But I'm going to be pulling double duty next year, definitely, one way or another. It may be a little bit late with the modified. It may be opening day. I don't know. But it's definitely going to happen. It's going to be a fun season.
Yeah. Travis, what do you got going on 2021, man?
Well, waiting on aluminum, putting the body on, but I didn't want to tear this one off because aluminum's kind of hard to get right now. But just, freshen stuff up on the car. I'm going to change some setup stuff around a little bit, just get a little bit more consistent. Got some tools and stuff to make that a little easier, to be a little better week in and week out. And as far as running, what track or whatever, I'm really not 100% sure. Part of me wants to go back to Pencan and run there weekly because I feel like I was the second fastest car there, but I didn't prove that this year. Then part of me wants to go, kind of like what Nate was doing there, run around a bunch of tracks and just have some fun. I was almost thinking about running Afton. I don't have a definite answer on where I'm gonna run, I should say.
Do you enjoy running other tracks, bouncing around, or?
Yeah. I mean, what was it? 2018. I was out my last year at work, but a buddy of mine got one of these cars, and he ran a big block, and he got one of these, and I was running that, and I was running Accord that year. I ran Middletown that year. Ran Bethel that year. Ran, I guess, 5 Mile Point and Thunder Mountain that year, and that was probably the most fun I had racing. 2019. I mean, I did horrible, but I ran Pencan, I ran Thunder Mountain, and I ran Afton. And I mean, it was fun running around. Yeah, it's definitely, it's fun too because it's not even just a different track or not like different setups and stuff, but running at different tracks. And Anthony probably said the same thing. I know he did a lot of that this year, but you learn a lot. You kind of adapt and stuff like that. So I had fun doing that for sure.
Yeah, I always found it. I don't know. Late, as I got older, I was able to, be able to afford to move around and stuff. I always found it amazing to go somewhere and everybody just kind of, they point and stare and who's that? Make fun.
5 Mile Point.
Yeah,
with
5
a
Mile
bus.
Point, man. I rolled in with my bus and my beat up Camaro, and I was literally made fun of.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with that? Yeah, and I went out in the feature. I think your brother won that night, and I wound up fourth.
Yeah,
that was my first time ever there, and it was funny because people came over and wanted to know what I had. And dude, I had nothing. I just had.
He's leaving out the part though that when we got there, started the car in the trailer, it stalled.
Yeah.
Went to start the car again,
Yeah.
and it didn't start.
Yeah, I burnt the starter up. So the one of the officials came over and said, "Listen, man, if you can get it here, I'll push you over to the starting line as long as you're running start where you're supposed to." And I always find that the farther away I get from the tracks that I've been running for the past 20 years,
Something goes wrong.
Yeah, that and I don't know. You have more fun and there's no stress. And Pencan, we went and our goal was to just qualify. I literally started 15th in the second consi and got the last qualifying spot by luck. Because I think 6 cars wrecked.
Took each other out.
And I rode the wall like a video game on the last lap and got the very last spot.
Ask him, he was screaming like a girl.
Oh, my God, he was awesome. I'm not going to lie. Dude, I had a water gun at a bazooka fight. It was retarded. And then I started 26th in the feature and finished 20th. And I must have been lapped at least 13 times, and there was only a 15-lap feature or some crap. But it was a blast. It was fun, because there was no expectation. I was bummed and thought for sure that we were going home early, and when right place, right time, and got in the show. Do that to me, that was awesome. And then Nate started breaking my balls on YouTube, and then I was like, all right, cool, this is even better. You know what I mean? Because I got to meet other people. It's always been a good time, man. I love to travel. Anthony, what do you got going on 2021, brother?
I think we're gonna end up running Accord full time and try to do Bethel on Saturdays.
Yeah. Nice.
Try to do a little double duty.
So I'm going to leave the best for last because I have a proposition for Mr. Nate Hill. So we have what is called the Street Stock Shootout Series. It is between Accord, Bethel, and Orange County. I will personally, this year I believe we're only going to do one race at each track. This is our 6th year of doing it. Obviously, we didn't run it last year. Jimmy Marr was our winner the first year. Kyle Welsh won it the second year. Bob Slate won it the third year. I won it the 4th year. And Walt Henry was our last winner. I am inviting you to the Street Stock Shootout Series. I will pay for your entry to get into the series. You pay for your way to get into the tracks. But whatever you need to make your car legal at these 3 races, I'm inviting you. I will help you get your car where it needs to be, and you're not that far off, I could tell you. But other than that, that's my invitation to you. We would love to have you. I don't think we have ever had anybody from 5 Mile or Pencan or that area come down and join us. But Nate, that's my invitation to you. I'm going to be making videos about it. I'm going to break your balls for the next 9 months because I think it's awesome. But let's talk about 2021, brother. What you got going on, man?
All right, I definitely appreciate that, Joel. It's definitely something I'm going to look into. As you know, this past year, 2020, things weren't really going the way we wanted to go, and we went on tour, and it wound up being a lot of fun. And so now we do like traveling around, so something like that is right up our alley. The car I was running, it was a home-built car, and it was pretty beat up. Frame was all bent up. And so we're building a new car. That's going real slow. Right now, it's at the I was going to have the frame sandblasted, but the sandblaster is it's down, so he's got to fix that. And we've been real busy at work. We're real busy at work in the winter, so we're really behind on that. I do have my backup car though to start the season with. But as far as our plans for 2021, we are based on the fun we had touring. We're trying to do both. We're trying to run for points and do some touring. So right now, where it stands, we're down to Baps Motor Speedway. We're down to Selinsgrove, Afton, and possibly doing the Grit Series. They would all be like reduced schedules, which would leave us extra time to travel and hit stuff like Street Stock Shootout.
Nice. So the end of the year, you started doing, and I've said this from day one when Facebook started coming out and I started getting involved with it and stuff like that. I said to everybody, I said, listen, man, this is free advertising. Why are they not pushing more racing stuff for series, for local tracks, for what they have going on? They need to push. And now you're starting to see that. And Nate, you're a good example of that. Last year for King of the Can, man, you brought in over 60 cars for that race. And
45.
if I had to travel and race my way in to every racetrack that I went to, I would have no issue with that. Why? Because you're racing against. In order to be the best, you got to beat the best. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that I didn't like was the fact that the guy that won the race had a Southern Tier street stock, and you're not going to compete with that.
Well, okay, here's the thing now. They went to home track rules for the King of the Can. And that track, I believe that was built for the Hill Rules or Thunder, where he was legal. But you're right. I mean, some guys like you or I are, and listen, the new King of the Can, Mike Morris, is a great driver. He's phenomenal in the garage. He does the time. I mean, that car is completely reliable. He was doing 2-3 races a week and winning. I was laid off last summer. I could only make one race a week. You know what I mean? So the guy definitely 100% puts in the time. And he earned it. But there is a difference in equipment. And like for instance, here, Travis. And I think you had a great season in street stock there at Penn Can. Just really moving up recently, and I thought you had a great season. And congratulations on that. But I mean, Travis could pretty much take his Southern Tier street stock, change some tires, and a couple other things, and have raced at that race. And so that's why I came up with the Real Factory Stock Championship, where guys like you and me. And some of the other guys, would have a chance for a big win. And it really worked out. And this year, I'm definitely hoping to do it again. I haven't really talked to any tracks or anything about doing it, but I'll do it different. I learned a lot. That was my first time promoting.
Absolutely.
It was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Listen, Andy Crane and I were discussing that. What's he got? S&S Speedways this Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going down there, and he was even discussing how how difficult it is to promote that. And I even said to him, listen, Street Stock Shootout Series, Brett Deo, what those guys do, with the Short Track Super Series, and even World Racing Group with this, Super Dirt Car Series. Yep. Dude, the series takes us a year. It's a year for just we were doing at the most 6 races, and now we're back down to 3. But it's a year of preparation. So it's just. It's a lot of work, but with what you're doing, I mean, we have a little bit of fun and stuff like that. But even with your promotional videos, it's pushing racing and it's awesome. You know, Kenny, what are some of the other tracks that you're able to run with the style car that you have now?
To be honest, there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room for me. With my car having some coilover suspension, wide fives, and a couple other things, it's kind of limited on what I can run, and that's part of the reasoning of why we chose Bethel to make our weekly track to race at now. And I mean, like, we're gonna try to maybe do some racing up at Wall Stadium come Turkey Derby time. Hopefully they'll allow us to run with their limited late models. But other than that, like I said, I never really looked into it because, like I had mentioned earlier, Riverhead, it kind of like microscopes their rules to one track and their rules, and never really had the ability to go to much of the places, especially because Long Island only has one racetrack now.
Yeah. Anthony, what are some of the things that you guys had to change on your car? Because each track around here is so drastically different. And then you go to like Glen Ridge or you go to Albany, Saratoga. What was some of the stuff you guys had to do? Because even at Glen Ridge, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a hell of a run up there.
Yes, we did, and we went up there with our stock rules from Accord up there to compete with those guys who are allowed to run 4412s, headers, and 4 9-inches. We went up with our stock Rochester, stock manifolds, and all we really did was switch to DOT tires.
Yeah. So do you think that maybe, you dumbing the motor down a little bit kind of helped you in the long run? Because I believe you had a top 5 up there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I believe we ended up 4th up there.
Yeah.
And yes, I believe, having a little less motor definitely made the car hook up to the track, getting more bite off the turns. But these guys with these big motors, you can hear them screaming and spinning the tires down the straightaway.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nate, that's even Penn Can Speedway. You could hear some of them guys, man, when they went by you. It was like, Jesus, what the hell do they have? Travis, even your brother too came by me. I think he took my bumper cover off with him, and we were laughing about that. I said, well, it's a Brockner. What do you want? But man, you learn so much every time you go to a new track, man. You learn something new. And I think the King of the Can, that was an awesome race. It really was. You had, I want to say, almost 4 different divisions running in one race. And dude, it was cool as hell, man. It was awesome.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my favorite racing memories was going up to that pit board and seeing 45 cars signed in.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an emotional moment for me because I did really, really bust my ass trying to get. And I do want to apologize to a lot of people that they didn't quite make the cut for the real factory stock bonus. And there's a few people I feel really bad about it. They just, the cockpit got them, and I was requiring a full cockpit. But other than that, they were so close, and I do want to apologize. But it's what do I don't know what's right. You know what I mean? I feel bad, but you let one thing slide, then you got to let the next thing slide, and then the next thing, and then we're right back where we started with anyone running. So,
listen, one thing I learned from Mike Gerda, he's the owner of the Orange County Fair Speedway, is it doesn't matter what you do, you're always gonna piss somebody off. So you want to try and be as even keel with everybody as much as possible. But I don't know. I think that what you did as far as promoting that race was awesome, and I think that the caliber of drivers there was really, really cool.
And you raised a ton of money for that race.
Yeah,
too.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I put in $300 of my own money, and I hope and Jared Dennis over at Woodhull had a belt made up, and we were hoping that the $300 in the belt would draw people. And once people started, it just picked up on its own. It snowballed, and it was Justin Slezak from 5 Mile Point Factory Stock Champion Slezak put in an additional $300. And from there, it really took off. And I had never really, I knew Justin, but I had never really talked to him or anything much. And, and I guess he had been following and thought it was the right thing to do. But that really, really kicked everyone else in the ass. But I was so unprepared for all the work that goes into, keeping track of all this. Now Nick Stark, who's in charge of the grid series, he's been doing it a while, and I got to give him credit. He is first of all, he's very smart, but second of all, he's very organized. And I didn't realize how much work actually went into this, but by the end, I wanted to donate. I wanted to put in $20 for a Chevy rear, whatever the money was. I actually had to call up Nick and say, "Hey, Nick, I want to, I was giving him the money to put towards it because he's just, that's I was just I was overwhelmed. I had never done it
Yeah.
before, and it was some of the stuff was pretty messy about it. But if I had to do it again, I'd do it different. I learned a lot of stuff the hard way.
Yeah, oh, right here, Tommy Groover. I wasn't qualified for real factory stock, which we definitely knew, but my hat is off to Nate Hill for what he did. The car count was awesome. That there's from Tommy Groover. But even with the shootout series, myself and Charlie Hotailing and Kyle Wright, we're the guys that actually run it. But behind the scenes, you got guys like Rob Stadata, Steve Keeler from Rock Fantasy. Big shout out to Steve. Tony Garagusto from TJ Motorsports. He threw in money. Rob Stadata One Motorsports. And Jay Smalley. Jay Smalley is the guy. We like to do everything as much as we can ourselves. We were taking old trophies and making our own trophies. And the first couple of years, we actually took engine parts. And I got this from a Demolition Derby guy. What's his name there?
Gully.
Jeremy Gully. He actually took engine parts and made trophies out of them. And we did that the first couple of years. And Jay Smalley went and got a ton of trophies from some of the old racers from Lebanon Valley and stuff, and he built trophies for us for the shootout series. And there's so many people with their hands involved, and so many, we wouldn't be able to do it all, and without guys like Jay Smalley. Street Stock helped us with over 29,000 members. You know what I mean? But we went from just the top 3 getting paid to now it's the top 10. And we're paying Rookie of the Year. Last year was Tom Salerso Jr.
I finished 4th 1 year. Got the flag, and I think it was $100 or something.
Yeah, the best finisher from Bethel, best finisher from Acor, best finisher from Orange County. That was extra money. And this was stuff that people just kept throwing in. And like you said, Nate, it just snowballed. And, it's been amazing. But, if that continues, you're going to find yourself where that's going to be almost like a second job for you.
Right. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. It's a lot of hard work. I hats off to all the promoters out there because, and I also do want to give a big shout out to the Folk family there at PennCan. They had a hell of a first year there. Hell of a first year. I mean, they were helped out by a lot of New York tracks closing, but still, I mean, they did great. And I hope they continue that success they had.
Yeah, they turned that place around for certain.
Yeah, listen, we had never been there, and I believe he came over himself.
When we pulled in, he was standing out there.
Yeah, and we got a buddy of ours, Jimmy Smith. He was in a real bad motorcycle accident, and he doesn't walk too well. And he sent one of his guys over to give Jimmy a ride back to where we were parked so that he didn't have to walk. And, dude, I thought that was amazing. Who the hell are we for you to do something like that for us? And that was awesome.
Funny part was we asked him where the pit entrance was. He said, which one?
we had no idea.
Yeah.
We're idiots. So
yeah, it's a good track. It's a fun track. That's will always pretty much be my home track there at PennCan. And the great thing about that is in the factory stock division, first of all, the driving's exceptionally clean there. I mean, some of these other tracks aren't. I like their rules, but they're not even runnable with the way they drive. Yeah. And PennCan has always had exceptionally clean driving, and everyone there is willing to help each other out.
Yeah.
And I'll always be my home track even if I'm not running there.
So real quick, we got a couple minutes left. Let's go around the table. Guys, want to thank some sponsors. Anthony, let's start with you. Anybody you need to give a shout out to?
First off, I got to thank Gary Ronk, for putting me in his car and trusting in me. Thank my dad, always talking to me, giving me pointers, support. Came this year, helped me do a lot of work on the car with Gary in the shop. One morning we were in there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you get in and drive it tonight?" And I'd like to thank my sponsors, United Petroleum Services and Gary's Truck and Auto.
Kenny, how about you, man?
I got to thank my biggest supporter is my family, Darian, my wife, my 2 boys, Kenny and Bryce, and my right-hand man, everyone calls Gizmo. That's the man that turns all the wrenches, and he's the brains of the operation. He yells at me all the time, telling me I'm just a driver, even then all the other guys, and then all the other guys in my shop, I'm in the shop with 5 other race cars, and we all just help each other out, and I really don't have any sponsors because I'm not racing at home anymore, and they're not interested in sponsoring a car that's going 150 miles away. But I'm making it happen, and like I said, without the guys in my shop, my family, all the support I do get, it wouldn't be possible. And even then, I still got to thank everybody at Bethel for allowing me to come up there and race with them. And It's been fun, and I'm looking forward to running again this year.
Nice. Travis, you're up.
I got Egos Automatic. They used to do all my trainings for after work.
Heard that about you.
What's that?
Nothing.
Mel's Garage. He helps me out. Guy loans me a lot of tools. You know, when I don't have something that I need, all the time tools and stuff. Moose tree trimming. Cramp custom cuts. John and Kathy Armbrust. John and Donna Hammer. My mom and dad, my grandparents. My brother helped me out quite a bit in the garage. My buddy Eric Bonham helped me a ton. Moose Racing Engines. That's a good dude there. He had a distributor problem and actually couldn't narrow it down. I think I was on the phone with that dude for like 3 hours one night until about 10:30 at night, and answered the phone every time I called, middle of the week too. So that's really about it, I guess. Then real quick, before I saw Anthony's dad Ray ask a question about biggest rival.
I was going to get you on that. I wasn't going to let you slide.
Listen, man, I wasn't trying to get the kid killed, bro, but all right.
that was for sure him. I mean, no secret, him and I had it out for each other there for a little while, but, you know, after all that stuff, honestly, me and him raced probably better than anybody else at that whole track, not even in the street stock division. And, you know, like I said, after that, a lot of respect. I think, you know, that he gave me and I gave him back. And unfortunately, we earned it from each other a little rough, but, you know, it came with time.
Yeah.
No doubt with Red.
Respect goes a long way.
Yeah, listen, the first time I met Ray Tarantino was my first year in Middletown, and, you know, I had a lot to learn. My dad was the tech inspector there at the time, and Ray and we had gotten into each other, and he came over, and, you know, of course, me being the smart ass that I am, Ray was talking to me, and I basically looked at him and went, you know, you need to either swing at me or get the hell away from me. Well, when he took his shirt off, I figured, oh, shit. I figured I was done, man. Nate, man, this dude he'd make you and I look very small, dude. He's the arms on this dude. You know, back then, bro, were just. I was like, oh Christ, yeah. I thought for sure, and I'll tell you what, one of my closest friends now to this day, just a really good dude, man. He really is, you know. But
I was gonna say,
LOD, anybody got to think?
Yeah, I got John.
Oh wait, hold on. What were we gonna say, Gary?
No, I was just gonna point on Ray. You think he's a little badass, whatever, but he's a great guy, man. Yeah, I remember at Accord, I took a lick. I was knocked out in the car and in the infield, and Ray was the first guy over the wall to come running down to make sure I was all right. In the ambulance, him and his guys had my car put back together. I was knocked out in the car. Take me in the ambulance. By the time I got out of the ambulance, he's like, "What are you doing? Get in the car. We're going out for the feature." I was like, "Holy shit!" Borderline concussion, but guy's awesome, man. I love Ray. He's a great dude.
Yeah. Listen, even when you race Ray Tarantino, you know what you're racing against. He is an aggressive driver. He's going to run you as hard as he can, whether it's his equipment or not. The last Goblin that they had, I was up to third. And Ray and I got together, and when I pulled back out on the track, I kind of, you know, did one of those. But afterwards, man, he was the first one to walk over and go, "Listen, man, my fault. I did." You know what I mean? That's just the kind of racer he is. Yep. And you know, Anthony, dude, you couldn't have a better somebody better to learn from. You know, so
I agree,
good, dude. But yeah, I was gonna let that slide, bro. But Gary's the one who pushed the issue on that one.
It's all good. It's all fun.
Yeah, man. All right, LOD with.
I got John Lombardo, Ultimate Power, Tony Gearhead, my wife, Heather, my son and daughter, Christopher and Shelby. I mean, my daughter comes to the races every weekend. She's there. She's giving Dad what he needs, helping him out. You know, you know my family history.
Yeah, man. Yep.
It's always been a family-oriented, no matter what. And I do have a guy, Chauncey Caruso, awesome guy. He comes every weekend, sits in his chair. Hey, you need fuel? Yeah, I kind of do. It's just that type of week.
Yep.
You know, but sponsor-wise,
yeah. See, we're if you haven't noticed, we are family. You know, when Gary passed away, I was racing Middletown for 18 years, and I left, and I've been at Bethel ever since. You know, so but yeah, dude, it's definitely family operated there.
Listen, I remember me and you playing behind the Bethel grandstands with our Matchbox cars. You know, man. That's how far we go back.
Now our Matchbox cars are even bigger.
Oh yeah, more expensive. But listen, it's just it's something that it's gonna be in the blood for the rest of our lives, I guess. You got 6 kids and little,
Well,
Mojo.
3 came with the lease, and then I made 3 more.
Well,
but yeah, they're all mine.
Listen, before you know it, we're going to be chasing go-karts or something around, and I'm too old and fat to run, so you're doing the running
Sound
part.
good, brother. What's up?
I'll fix it.
Hope for that.
No,
So, all right, I saved the very best for last because I think that we're having a bromance. I think I talk to him more at night than I do my wife. Nate, I'm sure there's some people you got to thank, man. Let us have it.
I do, yeah. Well, first of all, my wife and my family for supporting me doing it, even though they're not big race fans, and we live pretty far away from all the tracks, not S&S speedways though, mind you, but we live pretty far from all the tracks, so it's a hike, and with young children and everything, they don't come very often, but definitely my main sponsor, without a doubt, is my stepfather, Ziggy Ziegler. Owner of Ziegler Construction. That is by far and away our main sponsor. He's going to be 80 next week. I'm going to be 40. The guy's still putting in 16-hour days. He's unbelievable. Vietnam veteran. Great guy. And also, we got a couple, minor sponsors. I do want to thank Kevin Van Anberg over at CBR Motorsports, Dirt Star Chassis. He put together our chassis this year, and we're pretty excited about it. He worked with us real well, gave us a good deal, and Frank Del Nero at Barrett Signs and Graphics does our lettering. He gives us a good deal. A&A Auto Parts Stores have been an off and on again sponsor. Calls Truck Parts out of Northampton, and if I'm missing someone else, I apologize, but definitely by far and away Ziegler Construction.
Awesome. Guys, I can't thank you enough. This is show number 3, and we are well over an hour into it. And, dude, it's been awesome. I got to give a big shout-out to my family, my kids. They scattered. They got out of the living room. The wife is sleeping because she's working tonight. Yeah, man. So thank you to my kids for being quiet, and I appreciate them, and I love them. And, of course, my crew chief, Pippa's right over there, and Cam's downstairs. Guys, I want to thank Travis Brockner, the King, No Right Turn, Nate Hill, Anthony Tarantino, and Kenny Hyde, and, of course, my cousin here, Larry O'Donnell. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Dude, this has been really cool. This has been awesome.
It's good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you. I hope to be on again sometime.
Yeah, so listen, this is show number 3, and we are, I don't know, we're starting to get a little bit of a fan base, and it's been pretty cool. And thank you to everybody who subscribed. We have almost a little over 2,000 subscribers now.
Yeah, doing good.
The last show we had, we were very close to almost 1,000 views. I think we were at 8 and change. So I don't know, maybe we got something here. Definitely leave us a message, hit the like button, whatever it is you guys got to do. But gentlemen, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the night, and we'll talk to you all soon.
And for God's sakes, like Ziggy Racing on Facebook if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys Sunday at S&S if it doesn't snow.
Oh, yeah, Andy Crane, S&S. Yeah, if it doesn't snow, yeah, we're going to be there. Yeah, the meltdown. Thank you, Andy Crane.
I already got the promo recorded. I'll post it tomorrow morning. I'll post it tonight. I just wanted to get this out of the way. I'll post it tonight. Promo's already been cut.
Nice.
So,
all right,
guys. Everybody have a good night. Gary, we'll talk soon. See you guys.
Bro. Thank you.
All right, good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.